Brad, stop.
Let's go! This ain't the fuck night! Oh, this game can heat stink!
Oh, shit!
It's gone!
What's up, everybody? It's Monday night, and this is the Sports Hounds. Brad Ryer, Rob Brinkman, Frank Vesby, production. Make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't miss anything here on A2D Radio. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, everywhere. Miss anything here, download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Takeover Talk, A2D, we're absolutely everywhere. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Week 2 NFL. We got Monday Night Football, and we got some baseball stuff going on. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by our A2D membership. Be an A2D member. They just gave out a bunch of cool free stuff on Monday Morning Quarterback, $9.99 a month. You get special perks, shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pop Podcast. Join today. Also brought to you by our doc, make them yours too. Dr. Paul Vidal, specialized physical therapy, 2 convenient locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill. Our doc, make them yours too. Dr. Paul Vidal. Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promotes wellness, balance, and recovery using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, gummies, and topicals. Use promo code A2D, 25% off. Brad, Week 2 of NFL's in the books. We're getting right into our poll question. Our poll question tonight is the Philadelphia Eagles were the most disappointing team in Week 2. I know a lot of Eagles fans got really, really, really excited after they beat a absolutely horrendous football team, the Atlanta Falcons. You saw it yesterday. Tom Brady picked them apart. They looked out of sorts. The Falcons just stink. A lot of people got really, really way too excited over the Falcons win. And those fans kind of got kicked in the nuts yesterday because the Eagles weren't getting much done on offense at the quarterback position, the receivers, the offensive line up front. Nothing seemed to work on the offensive side of the ball. Defense looks promising, but boy, this offense and this coaching staff is a huge work in progress. And that's why I looked at the Atlanta game and said, that's great. I expected them to beat the Atlanta Falcons. They did so in impressive fashion. 32-6 on the road. That's impressive. Now you go. I didn't expect the Eagles to win that football game yesterday. I really didn't. This is not a division championship type of year, Eagles fans. It's just not. This team is just not that good. And the only way they can change my expectations is if Jalen Hurts shows me he can carry a football team as a franchise quarterback. I came on last Monday. I told you, hey, Jalen Hurts actually showed me something yesterday. Bad football team, bad defense. Jalen Hurts showed me he had some building blocks to making me believe that he could potentially be a franchise quarterback in this league. Not so much yesterday. Jalen Hurts was absolutely horrendous yesterday, folks. He was horrendous.
He played against a real tough defense, though, Rob.
Everything.
That's.
And Brad, I hear you on that, but I watched the San Francisco 49ers yesterday. That's not a Super Bowl contender.
But they're good, though. They're very good.
They're good. I'm not sure the Niners. I know they're 2-0, and that's great and good. And I know the statistics of if you start 2-0, your likelihood of making the playoffs, obviously, it's way better than if you start 1-1.
Not with 17 games, though. With 17 games, it's
true. That puts a little kink in those stats. I agree with you. But look, Jimmy Garoppolo stinks. He absolutely stinks, Brad.
I'm not crazy about him either. You're right. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
I was shocked that Trey Lance played 0 plays yesterday. Jimmy
Well,
Garoppolo.
I think they're more worried about him turning the ball over. Lance, that is. I think that was kind of more or less the.
You got the Niners. Put the Niners aside. They're not going anywhere at Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo, with a horrendous start to the football game, gave Jalen Hurts and this offense every opportunity to take the game by the balls and coast. Now, Nick Sirianni also he was even more outclassed yesterday by Kyle Shanahan than Jalen Hurts was, in my hope that he can build himself into a franchise quarterback. Nick Sirianni was outclassed yesterday. Everything he game planned that worked for this offense against Atlanta went out the window yesterday. There was no 12 personnel. The tight ends weren't used. A short, quick bubble screens that were so effective with our small, fast, speedy receivers were not used. I don't think they committed to the run as well as they should have. Their rushing statistics became okay because Jalen Hurts busted off some big runs kind of in garbage time. But, I need Miles Sanders 20, 25 touches a game. That's what I need. That's what this football team needs.
The problem is, if you take a look, the last drive of the first half, when the 49ers scored,
okay,
and then in the second half, they held on to the ball for 8-9 minutes.
I feel like the Eagles didn't have the ball at all in the second half.
Yeah, the problem is they had the ball so much that the 49ers, that is, the Eagles just didn't have enough possessions or time of possessions to really get the running game going, especially in the second half. I mean, the 49ers had the ball the whole second half.
The second half aside, Brad, the Eagles should have been able to jump out to a multiple possession lead right off the bat. Because Jimmy Garoppolo started slow. A lot of those screen passes that were in the tight end's feet that could have hurt the Eagles, they were in the dirt because Jimmy G had happy feet and was scared. Jimmy G was scared to death. The Eagles getting good pressure up the middle. Hargrave looked like a beast yet again, but Jimmy G was scared to death. But the Eagles couldn't capitalize, and Jimmy G got his bearings, and it was off to the races for San Francisco. And it's not even off to the races. They lost 17-11. That tells me that this defense is much better than we thought.
It was 17-3. I mean, they played a prevent defense, and Hurts kind of ran the ball down the field at that point. They kind of let them off the hook a little bit.
I mean, okay, the Niners didn't put the game out away, and if the refs did their job, I'm not going to sit here and blame the refs because that's low class, and we don't do that here on the Sports Hounds. There was the delay of game on third and one. That's a delay of game. There was two Mississippis with that play clck on 0.
No, that was
third and one.
That was terrible. And
I'm just saying.
A couple of those calls, late calls, those calls against the Eagles defense to me were kind of ticky tack. I mean, to be honest with you, watching all the games that I watched yesterday, and I watched a few of them. Okay, the officiating this year, at least this week in particular, was notoriously bad. I mean,
Did you see the Julio Jones?
No.
What about the Julio Jones touchdown?
Didn't see that.
They reviewed it, and they still got it wrong. Julio Jones made a catch. He got he tapped his toes. He got 2 feet in, and they took it off the board anyway. They called it incomplete. They looked at it, clear as day, inbounds, and they looked at it, and they still kept it off the board. But I agree with you that refereeing.
It was.
We roasted the NBA officials all postseason.
No, it's
NFL.
This weekend was a joke. I mean, did you watch the Chargers and the Cowboys yesterday?
No, I was in about 2.5 hours worth of traffic coming home from the Eagles game.
That was
nightmare, and the city of Philadelphia, the Eagles should be ashamed of themselves for it. But we're gonna get into Dallas because Dallas is 1-on-1, and the optics of their 1-1 start to the season is much stronger than the Eagles' 1-1 start to the season.
Really good. Yeah, I mean, they barely lost to Tampa Bay, and then they get a big road win. Although, I hate to say this, but with the referees and blame referees, but that was a joke yesterday. What they were doing, with some of the calls that they were making on the Chargers, it was just awful. I mean, the Cowboys were getting away with murder on defense yesterday. They were holding guys the whole game. They don't call any of that stuff. All they were doing was continuously calling holding penalties on the Chargers. I mean, if you watch a game, okay, you could find a holding penalty probably on every play if you really want to start with that ticky-tack crap. It was just awful. I don't think I've seen at the Giant game was the worst I've ever seen. I mean, they call a holding penalty on a play where Daniel Jones clearly scored a touchdown, and the guy had his hands up like this, had his hands out like this the whole time, blocking like this, the receiver blocking, I forget who it was, all over the field, and they call a holding penalty? I mean, and even Troy Aikman and Joe Buck were both shocked by that call. And then they call an offside on a play where clearly he was not offside, and he also moved at the exact same time that the snap went off. And then the NFL has the nerve to send the Giants I'm sorry, give them the we're sorry phone call. That doesn't wash. They got to do something about this officiating because it's ruining these games.
Especially when they have replay at their disposal and they still get the calls wrong.
Well, you can't challenge problems. You can't challenge a penalty either.
They cost the Tennessee Titans 9 points yesterday.
Oh, I know about that. Yes, I do know about that.
Well, did you see the safety by Russell Wilson? The safety where they said he's not out of the end zone. That's a safety. You know the play I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I mean,
they didn't give him a safety because it's Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they mark it on the 1 yard line. I mean, come on.
Not on the 1 yard line. And I'm sure they would pull some nonsense about how it's not reviewable. Yeah, it's not reviewable because it's Russell Wilson. He's one of your stars. That's why.
The whole thing, I think there's something pretty clear going on this year, Rob, okay? The NFL wants Dallas and Washington to be fighting for the division. They don't want the Giants or Eagles because they don't like them. They think that they're not good teams, so they're gonna be out to screw both those teams.
I don't think they are. I think they're right about that, but the proof
I think
hash it out on the field.
Based on the officiating I've seen, that Redskin Giant game was disgraceful. And the Chargers yesterday and the Chargers and the Cowboys, that was a joke. That was some of the worst officiating I think I've ever seen. It just the whole weekend was filled with garbage, with the garbage officiating. But your officials have to be better than that, and they have to be willing to be man enough to put the damn whistle down and stop calling ticky tack penalties just to let everybody know, hey, we're here by the way, and we're the refs. That's a joke. Let them play.
But getting back to the Eagles and why I think the Eagles were the most disappointing team in week 2. Not because I think the Eagles are some great team, because nothing happened after the Atlanta game that moved me off my 8-9 prediction. And certainly nothing happened yesterday to move me off my 8-9 prediction. So I sang Nick Sirianni's praises all offseason about how I thought he was going to be an innovator. I sang his praises last week, how he had a great, succinct plan of attack against a bad defense that utilized his player strengths. Not so much yesterday. It was a boring, lackluster, ineffective game plan. Brad, I'm at the game. We got jets flying over. We got the national anthem going. And I'm asleep in my seat watching this guy call plays on offense. What are we doing? And to Nick Sirianni's defense, I did see a coach that wanted to take shots down the field, especially to open the game. And I don't think he has the quarterback with a strong enough arm to do that. Now, he hit on the Quez Watkins. I think it was a 91-yard completion that set up a 1st and goal where they ran 4 straight nonsense plays.
6 plays inside the 10-yard line.
And they didn't score. And then it's 4th down, and you want to go for it, which I'm all for. I'm all for aggressive. I'm not crushing for being aggressive.
I thought it was too early to be going for it. I think you can't come away from that drive empty-handed. You've got to get the points.
But Brad, the play he wants to be cool, and he wants to be the in vogue coach and recreate the Philly special, and it was a disaster. You got Greg Ward throwing the ball out of the back of the end zone, on 4th down. What are you doing? Are you throwing the ball away? What are we doing? Come on. There's only one receiver. You run a play. You run a trick play with only one option. The only way that play was going to work is if everyone forgot about Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts was wide open to catch the football. Niners had it sniffed out because it was a boring, lackluster, ineffective game plan by Nick Sirianni, accompanied with Jalen Hurts' clear inability to get the football down the field. because it's not good. And Jalen Reagor, former first-round pick, a guy that was chosen over Justin Jefferson.
He's been a major disappointment.
Jalen Reagor can go take a hike. He can pack his bags and take a hike. You can't run out of bounds on that play. The deep ball down the sideline, it was like the first or second drive of the game. You can't go out of bounds on that play.
I mean, it says, does he have any idea where he's exactly where he's
You need to be a professional first-round draft pick and know where the boundary is and adapt your route accordingly, because it was a perfectly thrown ball, one of the few deep balls that Jalen Hurts throwed good because that's not his game, and Jalen Reagor steps out of bounds like an amateur noob practice squad undrafted free agent. He's a first-round pick. Enough's enough with Jalen Reagor. I know he's going to get his shot this season because he's a first-round pick, and that's all well and good. But I came away from yesterday's football game, even though Devontae Smith's been pretty good. Like, one of the biggest glaring deficiencies of this football team is still wide receiver. It's still wide receiver.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how he stepped out of bounds like that. I still can't get over it. How do you not have awareness where you are on the football field? Like, you should be chomping at the bit. They're calling a go route for you. That's the only thing you know how to do, and catch a bubble screen, because he's a lazy, undisciplined receiver. And he can't even do what he's supposed to be good at well because he stepped out of bounds. I'm done. I'm sorry.
You can't do that.
Give Quez Watkins. Give Quez Watkins the snaps. I don't know. Greg Ward seems to be in the doghouse with Nick Sirianni. I'm not really sure why. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside stinks. So
is he still on the team?
Yeah, he somehow made the football team.
Okay.
And everybody's darling from last year, Travis Fulgham, got cut. So that just tells you how good Travis Fulgham is in the eyes of Nick Sirianni. And you know what, Brad? He can't go into Dallas on prime time, Nick Sirianni, that is, with a lackluster, boring, ineffective game plan.
Tell you what, if he does, the way that team puts up points, it could be a scary bad night for the Eagles. I don't really foresee the Eagles winning that game. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult spot for them to be.
But Nick Sirianni, good in week 1, bad in week 2. Where's the truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. We're going to find out next week. Jalen Hurts, terrific week 1, awful, downright awful in week 2. Where's the truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. But, I mean, I think everybody got a little too excited over the Atlanta win, 32-6.
I tried to tell you guys that. I tried to tell you.
I tried to tell them too.
A bad team.
Nothing happened against Atlanta that moved, and nothing happened yesterday to move me off my 8-9 prediction. I think it's going to be a week-to-week Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde routine with Jalen Hurts, and I hope that it's not a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde routine with Nick Sirianni. Next week's a major swing game for this football team because two of the Brandon Graham ruptures Achilles. He's done for the year. And starting right guard, Brandon Brooks, he's going to be out a couple weeks. He's on IR with a pec. So you're going to need guys to step in and replace 2 team leaders, which I think that those the trenches are probably the only 2 places on the field the Eagles can absorb major injuries, because I do think they have good depth in the trenches.
They do, but still, you're still to me, the loss of Graham is a very bad loss for the Eagles. The Eagles were the most disappointing team in week 2 for me. I agree to the poll just because of the optics with it. If I'm at the stadium falling asleep because Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are boring me, because Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball in the middle of the field because he doesn't have enough guts, he doesn't have enough arm strength, doesn't have enough zip on the ball to do so, and Nick Sirianni trying to be the coolest kid in school and making a total ass of himself has me falling asleep in the stadium, that's disappointing. Because I saw a team across the field in the San Francisco 49ers that was far from elite. Very far from elite. Especially
the San Francisco 49ers are not.
Especially the first 25 minutes of that game.
The Niners aren't Super Bowl contenders. They're
No,
better than the
here's
Eagles.
thing. Here's the thing though. That their defense is definitely an elite defense without a doubt. Their offense, no, but their defense is really good. And when they need to buckle down, they can shut down just about anybody. So I mean, you still have to sit there and say, well, okay, when we're playing Dallas, to me, the acid test really is Dallas. I didn't think that they were going to beat the 49ers. Okay, I was anticipating the 49ers might beat them a lot worse. I thought they gave them a pretty good battle, but I mean, I think the 49ers are just at this point, the 49ers are a better team than the Eagles, and I wasn't expecting the Eagles to win. However, a team like Dallas does not have a great defense, although it's certainly a lot better than it was last year by leaps and bounds. But certainly the Eagles should be able to score some points against them, and this is a chance for Ertz to redeem himself. If they lose this game, okay, and they drop to 1-2, now all of a sudden they have to go to Carolina against a team that looks like they're going to be pretty good this year, and that's not going to be an easy game. They could easily end up being 1-3. So this is really a big game for them. You don't want this to start spiraling. So we'll see what happens.
Mike Marshall, Niners have the same roster from the Super Bowl season. Yeah, but that's Super Bowl roster. I mean, that Super Bowl run, with all due respect to their Super Bowl run, a lot of things went right. A lot of guys had career years. I don't know if that's repeatable because Jimmy Garoppolo stinks. I don't know if Trey Lance is anything. You know, you don't have the rushing attack that they had that year is not the same. And the defense.
The Mostert injury is a big injury for them.
And Brad, the defense, that's not the defense that went to the Super Bowl that I watched yesterday. It's not.
Second half it was.
Even then, they
were pretty good. I mean, I thought their defense was pretty good. As far as disappointing, I'm going to give you two teams that really disappointed me yesterday, okay? The first team is the Miami Dolphins. How the hell do you lose 35-0 at home?
I mean, Tua left the game.
I understand that, but still, you know what? You can't get beat that badly at home. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, when Tua left, it was already 17-0. So I mean, that game was already out of hand when he left. I mean, you just finished with a really big 17-16 win in New England against a very good defense. Your defense did a nice job kind of slowing them down. And to me, I thought that was a very disappointing effort from Miami. The other team, and I know they're a bad team, but the New York Jets have to be better than what they did. That was, as far as I'm concerned, losing 22-6 or 25-6. I can't even remember what it ended up being.
25-6 final.
25-6. I was watching a little bit of that game. Their quarterback just looked terrible. I mean, he looked like he was lost, and he looked scared because he was getting killed yesterday. And I can't understand why Jamison Crowder isn't in the starting lineup.
He has COVID, I think.
Does he? I thought he wasn't getting along with the coach. But in any event, I know they're missing a couple of offensive players. But come on, Jets, you can't be that bad. You can't play that bad in your home opener in front of your fans like that. I mean, they're going to have more no-shows this year than people in the seats if they keep that up.
Well, I mean, I said it from draft night. I don't understand how you pass on Justin Fields and take Zach Wilson. I don't understand it.
Didn't exactly light it up yesterday either, but at this point, I mean, they barely beat the Bengals yesterday. I know they had a big lead, and the Bengals came back on them. But I mean, he didn't really do all that much either. It's not necessarily that as much as it is the whole effort. But again, those two teams to me, I thought were the most disappointing out of all of them. And New Orleans getting smacked by the Carolina Panthers, didn't see that coming either.
Pittsburgh, very disappointing. I mean, you got the Raiders, and you got them in a prime spot at home after you just beat the Bills. Tough. It looks like the Bills are going to be fine.
The Bills obviously.
You get the Raiders coming east on a short week, and you let Derek Carr carve you up. I mean, this is a defense that went to the playoffs last year. This is a franchise that hasn't had a losing season in 17 straight years. And it's because they win these games like this and they don't give them away at home. I mean, that was very.
Derek Carr had one heck of a game. I'll tell you what, Derek Carr, the last 2 weeks, the second half against the Ravens, he was spectacular, and he really did look very good yesterday as well. He's gotten off to a good start. He played well last season. He had a good year. I mean, I think we don't give him enough credit here. I think he's finally starting to play to raise his level of play. So we'll see about Oakland. They may not be as bad as we think. If their defense holds up the way they score points, they could be they could make it very interesting in the AFC West. But boy,
and I think they have Miami at home next week, which very well could be, a game where Jacoby Brissett starts because Tua is not healthy. I haven't seen any injury reports on Tua.
Yeah, but he got carted off. I mean, I can't.
Carted off. So
I can't believe he's going to play. I can't believe he's going to play after he gets carted off, though. I mean, that's the next week. I mean, again, Oakland. I'm sorry. The Las Vegas Raiders have a chance to be 3-0, and I don't think too many of us thought about that. There were a lot of strange games yesterday.
It was a very strange card. A lot of home dogs yesterday.
Yeah, and a lot of them won. I mean that to me, again, I think you're right about Pittsburgh as well. But there were some very big disappointments this week with some of the way some of these teams played. And by the way, hats off to the Tennessee Titans coming back and winning that game in Seattle. I mean, that was a big win for them.
It was. Let's get to some comments here. I'm interested in the comments tonight. I want to see if we got people crushing Jalen Hurts or we got people coddling Jalen Hurts. I want to see if we got, Nick Sirianni, be patient, or Nick Sirianni has to go. I wonder what the sentiment's going to be.
Well, after 2 games, you can't really make that. You can't make that judgment after 2 games. He is a rookie head coach.
He showed it yesterday.
He did. But if he moves on from it, okay. Again, this wasn't a game that you expected to win at the beginning of the season. Now, the game was definitely there for the taking for the Eagles, no question about that. But I mean, this wasn't a game that you could have seriously expected to win. When we were figuring out what their record might be, I don't believe either one of us thought that they would win this game.
Nope, had them 1-1.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, you're 1-1. Big game in Dallas. Again, the way I've seen Dallas play so far this season, I don't think the Eagles are going to go into Dallas and win that game. I do think the Eagles could probably take them at home, especially later in the season. But Dallas has looked really good the first 2 games. I mean, again, they're highly competitive against Tampa Bay, and they beat a very good Charger team on the road. And I'll tell you what, our division is going to have a tough year having to play against the AFC West because there are no soft teams in that division. Boy, oh boy.
No, now you got Vegas. Now you got Vegas. Vegas is 2-0. Denver's 2-0.
I think the Giants might go 0-4 in that division.
The Eagles could too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's going to be that is not easy to have to play those 4 teams. Those are 4 pretty good teams. I mean, the Raiders should probably finish no worse than at the worst 9-8 the way they're playing right now.
I mean, you jump out to a 3-0 start. It's kind of hard not to win 9 games. No,
you're right. Comment by Henry White. Okay, and Nick Sirianni can't rest. I like calling Atlanta Badlanta. Very good, bud. Things need to change up each week and, more importantly, adjust during the game. Yeah, the adjustments were not good. He's absolutely right about that.
The game plan, why do you have to go away from what worked for you in Atlanta?
That, I don't know.
Why? You went from a short, quick pass offense using your speed and your tight ends and your running game to like an aired out, throw it down the field, take all these crazy chances when you don't have the personnel to take these crazy chances. Nick Sirianni was god-awful yesterday. The more I talk about it, we talk it out here, on the Sports House right here on AZD Radio, the more I realize how bad Nick Sirianni was.
Well, hey, listen, but you know what? At least he owned up to it, Rob.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
really,
but you know
that's
what?
great. You owned up to it, but why don't you be better? Be better originally.
Yeah, I mean,
So you don't have to own up to it.
unfortunately, he kind of sounded, and some of you guys may laugh when I say this, kind of sounded like Richie Kotite after the game, the way he, we left it all on the field and we gave it 100%, and it's my fault, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know it's your fault, okay? And just
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
You know what? Some of the calls he made, especially those 6 plays inside the 10-yard line, and obviously, if you couldn't score in 5 plays, you can't come away empty-handed. And you shouldn't be going for it on 4th down in the second quarter. Unless the ball's like on the inch line and you can run it in, you shouldn't be going for it. You should just get the points. I mean, you had the lead, grow the lead. I mean, by not scoring there, you gave the 49ers a big boost because the 49ers came out flat as a pancake to start that game. And you didn't jump on them. You ended up trailing at halftime, and then that one drive just put the kibosh on the Eagles' defense. That one drive just wore them out in the third quarter. The one that started right after the opening kickoff to start the second half. That drive kind of wiped the Eagles out. I mean, they couldn't stop the 49ers on any huge spot. The field goal, they really couldn't stop them. They moved down the field. Took forever to get the ball down the field, and they took the air out of the balloon and time off the clock, kicked the field goal, give themselves the 2-touchdown lead. I mean, and then at the end of the game, it comes down to stopping one running play, and they couldn't do it. And had they gotten the ball back, who knows? They get a touchdown, they march down the field. That could have given them the enough momentum to maybe go down. And they even got a 2-point conversion, which I thought that was kind of a ballsy call. I mean, I like it. I like seeing coaches have a little balls.
But I mean, I guess this is just how you do it. And the one yesterday isn't as egregious as some of the ones we killed Doug Peterson for last year. Because if you get it, which they did, you get the touchdown, you get the ball back, you get a touchdown, you win the game. Even if you miss that, you get a touchdown and you still get another chance to get the 2 points. So you're kind of chasing the point if you miss, but not really, if that makes sense.
If they get the 2-pointer, which they did, okay, then if they score a touchdown, they win the game and they don't go into overtime.
I understand that.
And that's why I didn't think that was bad because, that was kind of a no-lose situation to try that. I thought that was a pretty gutty call. I liked it. It showed aggression. They got the 2 points. Had they been able to get the extra touchdown, I mean, I was a little bit surprised they didn't try.
Brad, even if don't you see what I'm saying? Even if you miss that 2-point conversion, you're still down 8. It's still a 1-possession game.
You can still tie it with the 2-point conversion.
So you're chasing you are chasing the point, but you're not really chasing the point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
didn't mind that 2-pointer, and they got it. So I mean, that's great.
I thought it was a good gamble, and I think it there was more good to it than bad to try it. Now, speaking of gambling, okay, I thought the ballsiest play of the day was, without question, the game with the Ravens and the
4th and 1 minute to go.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, going for it on 4th and 1 at your own 35-yard line against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But the reward is if you get that yard and you get the first down, the game is over. And then they give it. I mean, boy, oh boy. I mean, it must be nice to have Lamar Jackson in a 4th and 1.
I mean, the Ravens really needed that win.
I know, but to beat Kansas City, though, that's.
I mean, both. You can't be 0-2 in that division with the Browns and the Steelers, 2 really good football teams, even though they're 1-1 respectively. Yeah, you can't be 0-2 in that division. And, you finally step up and you hit the bully in the mouth, Patrick Mahomes, and you get a win.
That's a huge win. I'll tell you, that's also got to be a huge confidence booster for the Ravens after a very tough loss Monday night in Las Vegas.
And you have all these injuries piling up already. They already have 15 guys on season-ending injured reserve.
It's unbelievable. And then they still go out and they're still able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, who are one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, kudos to them.
Let's get to some comments, Brad's. Our comments, all your comments here on the Sports Hound, brought to you by All Campus, giving 20% off everything in our store, including hat shirts and our team cornhole sets right on the Ocean City Boardwalk. Go see Johnny Coyle. There's still time left in summer. I don't care what that calendar says. It was beautiful outside. Beautiful outside today. Would have been a great day down there.
It was beautiful all weekend, by the way. Spectacular weekend down at the shore.
Bryce Blackwell's in the house. Tommy Arnone's in the house. Bryce Blackwell says, no, not the most disappointing. I was disappointing. I was expecting the Eagles to have a little more spunk. I thought the Eagles were going to come out a little more spunky, and it was boring and lazy and ineffective on Nick Sirianni's part, and Jalen Hurts was terrible. So it was a very deflating home opener. It was a very deflating game to be at. And by the way, Eagles fans should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely ashamed of themselves. The way that because I was there too, so I feel responsible too. Even though I'm not one of these crumb season ticket holders that sells their season tickets to the opposing fan base, which is a violation of the highest.
That is a fan violation.
That's a huge violation. That's a war crime on par with treason, Brad. Treasonous to sell your season tickets to the opposing team's fan base. But Niners fans were everywhere. And the game started going well, and they got loud about it. I didn't like it one bit.
How the hell did they get so many tickets?
They were there, Brad. Oh, Brad, I've been going to games for 20 years with my father. 20 years with my father. And I'm only 31 years old. So that should tell you something.
Yes.
So I've seen some shit down at the Eagles game, especially in Philadelphia, at the Vet and the Link, along with the baseball team and the football teams and the basketball teams in this town. I have never seen Philadelphia invaded like the San Francisco 49ers fan base invaded Lincoln Financial Field yesterday. Because, the Cowboys fans, they're a bunch of pussies. They come in their regular clothes. It's like an undercover cop. That's how you spot a Cowboys fan at Lincoln Financial Field. Jeans, T-shirt, you're a Cowboys fan. You don't have any Eagles garb on, you don't have any Cowboys game on, you're a Cowboys fan. New Yorkers, they won't even show up. They don't really show up.
So no, I think I've only gone to maybe 3 or 4 Giants.
I'm telling you, I've seen it for 20 years, Brad. Giants fans, they don't come. New Yorkers don't come down. Eagles fans will go up there, and I'll bet you if we ask the Giants season ticket holder, what's the number one fan base that invades your stadium, I guarantee you it's the Eagles. And I know we take over FedEx Field every season.
It's not the it's the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Yeah, they come to New York?
Oh, God, yeah.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I guess bigger city.
The other problem, well, especially the last few years, because the Giants have been out of it when they play the Cowboys. So it's almost as many. There's almost as many Cowboy fans as there are Giant fans. I mean, it's pretty bad. It's embarrassing when that happens. I mean, listen, sometimes
it was bad yesterday, and it's by the Niners, Brad, a team that I wouldn't really expect to have done that in Philadelphia, but they were there. They were loud about it, and they took over.
That's a little surprising. I
was surprised, but I want to talk. You got if you're going to sell your tickets to the game, and that's fine because you can get a lot of money for NFL tickets. And I get it. Season ticket holders, they go to half, they sell half. Maybe they only pick a handful of games to go for, and they get their money back. I get it. But when you're selling your ticket, especially as a season ticket holder, you need to properly vet the person you're selling tickets to. And the guy that sits behind us, my dad has season tickets, the person who sits behind us. So every game for 20 years, I go like this, and whoever we're playing, this crumb sells his tickets to the opposing fan. We're playing the Panthers, there's Panthers fans. There's Chiefs fans, there's Chiefs fans.
So he never
on purpose.
You don't know the guy, so you don't know the guy that sits behind.
I have no idea who the guy is. He sells his tickets every week to the opposing fan base.
Oh, jeez.
It's a crumb, coward, treasonous move. And the Niners fans took full advantage. And they took over our house, and they won the football game, and the Eagles were very disappointing in doing so. So, I mean, that's my third takeaway from the game. Hurts sucked. Sirianni sucked. And the Philadelphia Eagles fan base sucked.
We have a comment from Bryce Blackwell. Any thoughts on college football, the Penn State big win?
Yeah, they're probably going to go to the playoff because I don't think Ohio State's that good, and I think Penn State is better than Iowa.
Penn State is pretty good this year.
We'll get this.
Nice
Ghost
go.
Carts.
That was a big win against a good South SEC team.
Trump 2020, the Cowboys got the division on lock. I mean, I kind of told you that before the season. I think Dallas is going to probably win this division by, 4 or 5 games. And I haven't seen anything to the contrary that's going to make me change. That's made me change my opinion.
No, the Cowboys,
I lost to it.
The Cowboys look like a very good team.
There's Don 19. Rob, those Niners fans took over Detroit too. I guess they're out there from the 80s and the early 90s. Yeah. I guess they're out there. I don't know.
Listen, Montana, when they had Montana, they were a dynasty. And don't forget, they went from Montana to Steve Young. So you had 20 years of greatness with that franchise. I mean, it is what it is. That's how it was. That's how it was. So, you've got a whole generation of 49er fans. I'm just surprised that they travel so well.
They were well behaved and classy too. And I'm not being sarcastic.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you mean they're like
the Vikings fans came in for the NFC Championship game and they stepped out of pocket and they stepped out of pocket hard. And then we hit them in the mouth, sent them packing, won our Super Bowl. And then they want to go on the news and tell us how we're animals and we're out of pocket. No. That's not the way I saw it. Niners fans were fine. I'm just disappointed that we let so many rats or foxes in the hen house, so to speak, and they took over our stadium. It happened.
That's kind of surprising.
Peter Evans, disagree with the poll. They're young, growing pains to follow this season. Are the Eagles really that young, though?
On offense, maybe, not defense.
Well, I mean, you got a rookie head coach and you got an inexperienced quarterback. I'll give you that. Miles Sanders, he's kind of a veteran now. You have 2 tight ends that are veterans. An offensive line, there's a bunch of veterans up there. Defensive line's a bunch of veterans. Secondary's kind of split. They still don't have a linebacker who can play a lick. So I don't know how young they are. I don't buy that. I know that's like kind of the first thing that comes to your mind because Jalen Hurts is young, but the Eagles aren't that young.
Well, the wide receivers are.
Yeah, but Brad, I see Rondell Moore make play after play for the Arizona Cardinals. I see Justin Jefferson make play after play for the Cincinnati Bengals.
They don't have that guy as a receiver yet.
Jamar Chase makes play after play. All these guys make plays. Jerry Jeudy was having a good game against your Giants before he unfortunately got hurt in the opener. These guys step in and make plays. So, they
do.
Except for Jalen Reagor, who can't even keep his feet in bounds on a go route.
Jalen Reagor
stinks. He stinks.
He has not been what you guys expected at him. That's for darn sure. He's had a rough go of it.
Evan Taylor, a
lot gets forgiven if they go to Dallas and win that game next week. Then
but this is a week to week kind of a team.
Absolutely.
This is not a team that I look at and say, "Oh my gosh, they're going to the playoffs and this game derails." No, the Eagles aren't that good. They have glaring weaknesses, and now they're banged up because you lost a starting defensive end who's the heart and soul of your team for the season, and you lost what was once the best right guard in football, in Brandon Brooks. He's on IR. They don't believe it's season ending, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be around for a month plus. So you got to figure that out too. Evan Taylor, most disappointing was the Dolphins. They put up 0 points. I would agree with you if Tua didn't get hurt. And I know they were getting jumped on before the Tua injury. But, I mean, I don't know. Just the optics of the Eagles game. Not to mention, I didn't really get to watch much football yesterday because I was at the Eagles game. I saw the back end of the 4 o'clock games, and I saw the Sunday night game. And we're about to watch the Green Bay Packers probably get to 1-1. We'll give you a full Monday. Let me put that on because the Phillies are pissing me off.
Are they losing to the Orioles?
Yeah, they're down 2-0. They suck.
I thought the Yankees sucked. I mean,
Chubbs is in the house. Mike Marshall, Jalen's arm is plenty strong. No, it's not. Like, no, it's not. He doesn't have the zip on the ball that these other quarterbacks have. And he doesn't process.
He can throw the ball far, but the problem is throwing to the sideline. He doesn't have that strong cannon that he can throw to the side.
All they do is throw. He doesn't have confidence in his arm to throw the ball over the middle. Go look up a chart on Google or YouTube or wherever the heck you can find that information, stats and nerdforstats.com, where I hate stats. Look at the little dots where his completions are. They're all outside the numbers. He doesn't have confidence to let it rip in the middle of the field. He doesn't. And the deep ball, and on the deep balls, he's late. I don't know if he's not processing information fast enough, but he's got to throw the ball quicker. So I completely disagree. I don't know, Mike. I don't know if you watched the game yesterday. I was at the game. Jalen Hurts has never wowed me with arm straight, whether it was Alabama, Oklahoma, or Philadelphia. I don't. This partly goes to the reason why all summer I would say I don't think this guy's a franchise quarterback. I don't think this guy's on the Eagles roster in 3 years.
He creates more with his legs than his arm, and that doesn't really bode well to me. You have to have both. It's great to have a quarterback, a running quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to be able to throw the ball.
Chucks disagrees. He doesn't think the Eagles were the most disappointing team. Greg Malakovic's in the house. Ghost Heart Friendships Field Roy Schools. Dalton is scared of Justin Field might take place of Andy Dalton. Well, Andy Dalton's never going to start in Chicago again. He looks like he's going to miss some time with a knee injury, and Justin Fields is going to take that job by the horns and never give it back to Andy Dalton. Justin Fields can play. Like, I'm glad this happened sooner rather than later. I don't want anybody to get hurt, obviously, but I mean, if the Bears want to make some noise, you
would have rather have seen the adjustment come just because you wanted to see Justin Fields play. We don't want to,
because he's better. He gives the Bears a better chance to win.
We have nothing against Andy Dalton. We don't want to see him get hurt, but we just think the better quarterback is Fields. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Mike Marshall, if they score in the red zone, they win the game on Sunday. Yeah, great, but they didn't, and they lost because Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts were completely ineffective yesterday. And I know Mike Marshall's a big Jalen guy, and he hated Carson Wentz. Like, I get it. Jalen Hurts. I get it.
Colts doing, by the way, I believe they're now 0-2, are they not?
Yeah. Well, Wentz is hurt. He sprained his ankle pretty bad yesterday, but 0-2 to two pretty good football teams, to be fair.
Yeah, it's going to be 0-3 after this week.
Well, if Carson doesn't play, I agree with you. I don't know what to make of the Titans. They had a great comeback yesterday, but they looked awful in week 1. I don't know what to make of the Titans.
I think that they finally got their act together in Seattle yesterday. That was the team that I was expecting to see in that Seattle game.
Mike Marshall. Jalen is the second highest PFF rated quarterback through 2 weeks. Like, come on, bro.
Stop. He played a game against the Atlanta Falcons. Come on. Atlanta is and might be the worst.
Brad, this is why the Philadelphia fan base gets a bad rap, because they have a good game against Atlanta and they think they got some superstar quarterback and they expect the moon and the stars. Jalen Hurts is not that good. He's not.
Again, I would give him a chance before we.
I'm going to give him a great chance. I'm not even a 17-game tryout guy for Jalen Hurts. Like, if we go through this season and Jalen Hurts has a bad season and they give him another season after this, I'm fine with it. Now, he has to show me something to get that second season, but if he shows me enough for a second season, but it doesn't quite sell me that he's a franchise guy, I'm good with giving him another season.
Let me ask you a question, Rob. Daniel Jones, how do you think he looked against the Redskins? The Washington football team.
I think he wasn't the problem.
No, I thought he was very good. I thought Jason Garrett screwed up really bad after they got the interception, and then they wouldn't let him throw the ball.
I mean, it's Thursday. It was Thursday. It feels like a year ago.
I totally couldn't understand Well, first of all, Daniel Jones had a great game against them, just like he always does. Let him throw the ball in the end zone. You got good receivers. They were burning them all night.
Well, I mean, you had no answer for Scary Terry McLaurin. I mean, he absolutely cooked Bradbury.
I agree, but again, that's why you've got to go for the touchdown in that situation. Don't play for the field goal. That's not the way. That's not how you're going to win games on the road. I mean, you're not going to beat a team like Washington by playing for a field goal, not when your defense sucks. Okay, and right now the Giants' defense is terrible. I really like the way Daniel Jones played, though. To me, that was very, very encouraging to see him play like that. Now, I want to see him have a huge game against Atlanta and at least prove that in one game he can throw 3 or 4 touchdown passes. I'd like to see.
I think this is a fair. Like, you guys need to really put your foot on the gas and beat it. Atlanta stinks.
No, I know that. We got to win.
They're
that
horrible.
Game. Yeah, we got to win that game, and I mean, it would be convenient because the Washington football team has a very tough game this week. You can't. Yeah. I don't think they're going to Buffalo when winning.
We're just on kickoff. Let's talk some Monday Night Football real quick. We have the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, Lambeau Field. Brad, I fully expect the Green Bay Packers to get right here.
You would think so. You would think so. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers wakes up, and you would think that this could be a really ugly game tonight.
It should be, but everybody's on the Packers, huh?
Well, everybody wants to get – well, listen, if Detroit gives them a really good fight, then you really have to start wondering about the Packers.
Are you laying 11?
No.
Spread's 11.
I'll take the 11 points.
I will too.
Packers, I'm really wondering about the Packers because I mean New Orleans got their brains beaten yesterday by Carolina.
I saw that coming from a mile away, though. One of my few winners of the day yesterday.
Yeah, and listen, I understand the 21 gun salute thing. I get that whole gambling aspect of it. And that's a very and I think they say 70% of the time when you win by 21 or more points, you're not going to cover the spread the next week. I get that, and that is very, very, very accurate, by the way. But at the same point, I'm surprised they got slaughtered. That I was not expecting at all.
I think we're going to figure out a lot about what kind of Packers team we're going to see for the rest of the season based on the first couple of drives. I think if they come out and they're able to put some points on the board, I think it could be, we'll forget about that week 1 disaster against New Orleans and they're going to be fine. If, they come out flat again.
If they win the game like
that,
and have to have a game-ending touchdown to win the game, I'd be very concerned about the Green Bay Packers.
And that's even more reason for the Chicago Bears to start Justin Fields and start him now because
he's going to now, Rob. He's going to be in there for a while.
I know, but Brad, my point is I don't think the NFC East is the worst division in the NFL anymore. I think it's the NFC North.
Could be.
I think the Vikings just find ways to lose football games.
Detroit, you and I are on the same page about Dallas, which I think Dallas is going to. Unfortunately, they're going to walk away with this.
Yeah, but Dallas smokes any team in the NFC North except Green Bay, and they might be better than Green Bay too. We're going to find out a lot about Green Bay very early in this football game.
Yeah, I would agree. I
think you could say the same thing about Washington.
I'll tell you what, that Heineke is good.
He's good, man.
He's very impressive. I know it was the Giants' defense. I get that, but you know what? He made some really nice throws, though. I mean, he threw some balls into some real tight windows. There were plays where the Giants had very good coverage.
He's a more mobile Nick Foles.
Yeah, he's he's very accurate. That guy.
I think a young quarterback like Jalen Hurts can learn a lot from watching some Taylor Heineke tape because Brad, he trusts his players. He'll throw to a spot.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't have to see it to throw it. He anticipates.
He'll throw to a covered receiver and trust that his receiver is going to catch the ball.
And guess what? The Washington football team's receivers, they don't run out of bounds.
No,
on the only route that they're good at, like Jalen Reagor does.
no.
But back to the comments, Mike Marshall, Jalen. If you watch the 2 weeks in the NFL and you think Jalen Hurts is the second best quarterback in the league according to whatever bullshit analytic stats Pro Football Focus wants to throw your way, you're out of your mind.
I've never been very high on their.
No, it's ridiculous because, I mean, to me, the most impressive quarterback in the league so far, two come to mind right off the bat. It's Dak Prescott in Dallas, who's been terrific, and Tom Brady.
How about Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford as well.
He's pretty darn good, too.
Isn't Tom Brady ridiculous?
How many touchdowns did he have yesterday? 5?
I know he has 659 yards passing and I think 8 or 9 touchdowns already on the season.
I mean, but how old is he now? 44?
44.
Ay.
It's unbelievable.
It's for a quarterback, no less. I mean, we haven't seen this since like George Blanda in the AFL back in the late 60s, early 70s when he played till he was 48, when he was a kicker and then used to come in late as a quarterback to bail out Darryl LaMonica in close games when the Raiders were in Oakland. I mean, that's. But I mean, Tom Brady, it's unbelievable. And listen, I know he's got a lot of help, yes, but you know what? He's still the fact that he can go out
you
there.
just watch him throw the ball. It's got zip on it. It's accurate. Like he has no.
He can drop the ball. He can drop the ball in a bucket.
There's no signs of slowing down. Bryce Blackwell, Hurts will be okay, but got to get better with the deep ball. He had that issue at Bama and Oklahoma. Hurts has always had a problem with throwing. He's athletic and he can move and he's a good leader, and that's all well and good. But sooner or later, for you to be a franchise quarterback in this league, you got to stand in the pocket and you got to make throws. And I got no clues that that's going to happen anytime soon based on yesterday's performance. A lot of ball left, though.
I think he's kind of right now more or less a poor man's Lamar at this point in his career. But that doesn't mean he can. That doesn't mean he can't get better.
And we are live on Monday Night Football. Jared Goff coming onto the field. We'll see. We'll see.
Jared Goff last week had a pretty good game. But listen, again, Detroit came back late, so the 49ers were in a prevent defense when he did most of his damage. So we'll see what happens tonight. I would think that the Packers would come out and they should smoke this team. No excuses. I mean, that's a good sign for the Packers to stop them for 1 yard. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting game for the Packers. They got to show us something. And most importantly, Aaron Rodgers needs to come down from the tree and start playing football and not playing clown ball like he did last week.
Why do I feel like Aaron Rodgers just like, I don't want to say through the game, but kind of, was like whatever last week because he was still mad at the Packers because of the offseason?
I mean, a lot of people are thinking that, but then you have people accusing him of not of losing a step. I mean, to me, I'd have to see that to believe it. I mean, one bad game does not mean that the guy's losing a step. So we'll see.
Yeah, but the way you lose a step at the quarterback position, and I know Rodgers has been mobile throughout his career with the rollouts, and he gets some rushing yards sometimes. I get that, but I mean, nothing that happened last year, as far as his arm strength is concerned, indicates to me that he's anywhere close to being on empty from a production standpoint.
No, it's not like he had an injury or anything like that. So I can't understand. I think that it's way too early to make that kind of oh my goodness gracious, look at this.
Wow.
And the Lions get a 35, 40-yard gain, and they're now knocking on the door in the red zone.
I mean, that's a dime from Jared Goff.
Yeah, that was a pretty pass.
I understand he's like the whipping boy around the league, is like a guy who's kind of He started for 4 seasons in the NFL. He's had over 3,800 yards passing in each of his 4 seasons. So like that's nothing to sneeze at. I have Don 19. I'm rooting for the Lions. I'm rooting for Don 19. They don't have any nice things in Detroit.
Well, they deserve
no nice things.
Well, listen, Jared Goff, I think if Jared Goff can go to a team with no pressure and just, hit the reset button, I think there's a lot of good things that can happen with them. And especially with him. I think he was under a lot of he goes into LA and he's under enormous pressure to try to win the Super Bowl right away. Which most rookie quarterbacks don't usually have to do. Usually they're, it's a building block thing. They went in and they were expecting immediate results because the team was already good. And maybe he just needed to hit the reset button. I mean, look at Sam Darnold now. Sam Darnold, the first 2 games of the season, has really looked good with Carolina.
Philly, Irish, Drew, Evo. Eagles are winning 10 to 11 games. I got Cowboys winning 8. I mean, I don't understand where these Eagles fans and dude, I hope it's true. I hope the Eagles win the rest of their games. I think it was 16-1. I hope they win the rest of their games, get home field advantage, and win the Super Bowl. And Jalen Hurts is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think they have a lot of work to do. And I don't think that this is a 10-11 win football team. I don't think they're talented enough. This is a retool year. Then you go into the offseason, you're going to have some money and hopefully 3 first-round draft picks, if not 2 first-round draft picks and an extra second-round pick. You can still do damage there if you make good decisions. Then next year and the year after those are the 10, 11, 12 win potential seasons.
Yeah, I think you're asking a lot for them to be over 500 this year.
That's why you can't get mad. I mean, anyone who's mad at the Niners think they gave a game. Like, I don't get it. Well, everybody's guilty. Whatever team you root for, everybody's guilty of looking at Twitter and looking at the beat writers, and they highlight every positive, and it's easy to get sucked in. I get that. I got sucked in too. I went from 4 wins to 8 wins real quick doing that stuff. But, I mean, I just don't see it with this football team.
Hey, I got sucked in with the Giants too, Rob. I mean, it's very easy to look and hear, and you hear it, and you look at it so much. And there is a Detroit Lion touchdown.
What do they do? Like
Goff to Cephas, and it's 6-0. Wow.
I mean, they didn't work too hard to get that.
No, he is wide. I mean, he is wide open. Jeez, that was
2 feet in. Yeah, wow.
Well, he actually made it 3 feet in because he did the toe tap. He came in with 2 feet and then did the toe tap to make sure. That's how wide open he was, and he never even got touched. I mean, you cannot. That's boy. I'll tell you what. Green Bay better come out and do something offensively. I mean,
7 plays, 75 yards in 4 minutes and some odd seconds.
Detroit just marched right down the field.
And I have the sound off, obviously, because we're doing the show, but I bet you the Lambeau Field was probably just rocking 5 minutes ago.
And now they're probably booing the hell out of the Packers right now. Well, I'll tell you what, if this was the Giants or the Eagles right now, the fans would be booing the hell out of them if our teams were as good as the Packers have been lately. and to give it up that quickly. Wow.
Philly Irish, Drew Evo. He's got the Saints as the most disappointing team, only having 128 yards in offense. Yeah, Jameis Winston crashed back to earth.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he had 5 touchdowns in week 1. Some of those were gift wrapped by Green Bay Packers mistakes. But
after looking at that drive by the Lions just now, you have to wonder. Now, I'll tell you what.
Let's chill out on Green. Let's see if they win the game.
I understand that defense got picked apart by New Orleans week 1, and I mean that first drive, they stop them on the first play, and then they just said, okay, we'll just throw the ball down the field, and they basically did whatever they wanted.
Bob Brinkman, where were the tight ends yesterday? I don't know where the tight ends were. They weren't used in the game plan.
I only saw – now, again, I didn't see every play.
They were targeted twice. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert were targeted twice.
Goddard catch one screen pass and run it for about 10 yards. I think that's all I can remember seeing out of the two tight ends yesterday.
I believe they were targeted twice as a whole. Both
Okay.
resulted in catches from Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz, not involved in the game plan whatsoever. He's now in COVID protocol, so depending on if he's vaccinated,
He may not have felt good yesterday. Who knows?
maybe. But depending on his vaccination status, he may not. He may be already out of the Dallas game, which I guess doesn't matter because Nick Sirianni didn't use the tight ends last game. Why would he go back to something that works so well against Atlanta? I don't understand.
I don't know.
And for people praising Nick Sirianni for being, I wasn't that good. Well, be better. Be better so we don't have to because
Don't let it be. Don't let it be.
Have this conversation. Just be better. Be good in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. His play calling has to be better.
Ghost Heart Friendships. They got the Lions winning tonight. That's bold. Bryce Blackwell, Peyton and Eli Monday Night Football is good and funny. I'll have to check that out after we're done here on the show. I didn't catch any of that last week.
No, me neither. I'll tell you what. Watching the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Raiders yesterday, and I watched a lot of that game as well as the Eagle game. I kept flipping it back and forth. Derek Carr was really, really impressive. I mean, he stood in that pocket and he made some nice passes, and he was throwing the ball to everybody yesterday. Not just Waller. I mean, he spread it around, and they look good. They look real good. The two teams I was most impressed with yesterday were Oakland and the Ravens. I thought those two teams really, really, really were impressive, and Tennessee.
Tennessee having that comeback in Seattle, extremely tough place to play. Russell Wilson is as advertised. He's really good. That was big because they were staring 0-2 in the face, and that's not good, especially when you have expectations like the Titans have. You bring in Julio Jones, you get thumped in week 1 versus the Arizona Cardinals at home. You get embarrassed, and then you go up to Seattle, and things aren't looking good for 55 minutes of the 60 minutes?
Well, you know what? They just started giving the ball to Henry.
He took over.
Yes, Henry just said I guess Grable just said, you know what? Just give the ball to Henry. Stop trying to throw the ball down the field. Let's just give the ball to Henry. And Henry said, okay, that's it. And basically he was unstoppable after that.
Yeah, and that was my fear with the Titans is that they were going to get a little throw happy with their new toy, Julio Jones, and A.J. Brown, who's a good receiver. But I think they got back to their bread and butter, and they got a big win. Very impressive, I agree. Team I picked, my sleeper team in the AFC to grab final wild card spot was the Denver Broncos. They are 2-0.
They're looking good, Rob. They're looking good.
And they have a very, very balanced roster. The only question mark I really see is Teddy Bridgewater, and he's been
pretty
good.
He's looking. I'll tell you what. He's looking very healthy, and he's looking very mobile. And that's something that you had to wonder about. And I see the Packers get a first down. But interestingly, they're running the football. They're not really throwing the ball. So
that's fine. They have a great running back in Aaron Jones. Look, nothing went well for the Packers last week.
No.
And through 5 minutes of this game, nothing seems to be going well tonight. So they need to take a deep breath, and they need to get
they need to hit the reset button and go out there and just play.
And, Aaron Rodgers, he's never been one to panic. He's a pretty cool customer. So they just need to just chill.
But I'll tell you what, if you took the 11 points, it must feel good to be up 18-0 right now.
Yeah, we'll see how that 11 shakes out.
Yeah,
I don't like laying that many points in the NFL.
No.
It's hard, and there's Devontae Adams. I mean, I think the Packers are going to be fine here. I hope the Packers lose because I'm sure a lot of people have the Packers in my knockout pool.
You would think so.
So that would be good because I already advanced week 2 with the Browns.
By the way, I see that you're in the finals in the in our fantasy baseball league.
I am,
and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. let's do early leans and then we'll talk some baseball because there's a catcher in the American League that's having the greatest season maybe ever by a catcher, and I think he should win the American League MVP. Let's do early leans first. Way too early preview of week 3 in the NFL. It flies by in the NFL. It's week 3 already.
Yeah.
Teams are 0-2. They're panicking. Teams are 1-1. They're trying to figure things out. And you have some surprise 2-0 teams. Maybe we'll have some surprise 3-0 teams after this. Carolina is visiting Houston on Thursday Night Football. Now, Tyrod Taylor suffered a hamstring injury against the Browns. I don't know if he's going to be able to go in this game on a short week. The Panthers are 7.5-point favorites.
Where's the game?
Houston. I think Carolina's good. This may not be a game that I would bet, necessarily, but I think Carolina's a good team. And if I had to pick, Brad, I would lay the 7.5.
Yeah, I don't think I would play that. I don't think I'd play that game. I don't like giving up that many points as a road favorite, unless you're an elite team. I don't like giving up that many points.
What about the Cardinals? Cardinals are visiting the Jaguars. The Jaguars are 7.5-point home underdogs.
Yeah, but the Jaguars are the dregs of the league, so I could see that.
I'm surprised Trevor Lawrence hasn't hit the ground running better than he has.
To work with, though. He's got to get some. He's got to get some talent to work with.
I mean, I heard he was the greatest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but again, Peyton Manning also lost his first 10 games.
Very true. It's a good point.
So I mean, you can't always go by that. It's not that easy to just go into the end, especially when you have a really bad football team.
And then the Cardinals, they're 2-0. I predict they will go 3-0, but yeah, I will take the 7.5 points. Cardinals coming west to east.
They're going to score a lot of points against Jacksonville. That's. I think they can more than handle that.
So you'll take I'm taking the Jags.
Yeah, I would take the Cardinals and the points and give up.
The Washington football team heads up to Buffalo. Buffalo is an 8.5-point favorite.
That seems like an awful lot. I think I'd take the Washington football team.
I'll take the 8.5.
Yeah, I would take the 8.5. I think the Bills will win the game, but I think it's going to be a close game. Buffalo doesn't usually blow teams out. I mean, I know they blew out Miami yesterday, but they don't usually blow teams out. Usually, it always seems to be a close game. So, I think Washington will score some points, and they'll be able to slow down the Bills' offense to a point where it's going to be close.
I fully anticipate the Justin Fields era will begin on Sunday. He'll probably get the start with Andy Nee's knee being banged up. They are going to Cleveland. They are getting 7.5 points. I think the Bears plus 7.5 is.
I would take the 7.5. I think the defense.
The Browns are really good, but I don't think they're good enough to be covering a 7.5. They're not that tight. They're not that type of team.
No, the Bears. Listen, I'm not by any sense of the imagination advocating the Bears right now. But the Bears do have a pretty good defense. And I would think that they'll be able to keep that game close. So I'd take the points.
Big one in the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts 0-2 traveling to Tennessee. Carson Wentz status remains undetermined. Suffered an ankle injury yesterday. Gotta hope he plays. Here in Philadelphia so you can get that third first-round draft pick. Titans favored by 5.5.
I take the Titans.
I probably would take the Titans too.
Because if Carson plays, he's going to be playing hurt. And he won't be 100% effective. So, and even if he does, whether he plays or not, even if he was 100%, I'd still take the Titans. I think the Titans are better than the Colts. That's why I picked them to win the division. And I do think after that win in Seattle, I think this team is going to be able to start getting their act together. I think they finally realized stop messing around with the pass again. You can pass when you have to pass. You have a receiver to throw the ball to. But your offense, they went back to Derrick Henry, and that's what they have to do. He's still the best running back in the NFL, and That's the guy you got to give the ball to. He can wear you down, and he can get it to a point where in the fourth quarter, the Titans become unstoppable.
And boy, I mean, schedule makers, I guess they're not Colts fans because, I mean, my God, Seattle, they gave him 2 home games to start, but you got to play, NFC West powerhouses like the Rams and the Seahawks, and now you got to play a big division game, with a hurt quarterback, which isn't the schedule maker's fault, against the Indianapolis Colts. Rough go of it from a scheduling standpoint. Cincinnati travels to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favored by 4.5. I don't know what to make of Pittsburgh right now, Brad.
Well, they played one really good game, and they were less than they were less than exemplary, to put it mildly, against the Raiders. And we don't know if it's the Raiders are that good or the Steelers just aren't that good yet. We'll find out. By the way,
that's kind of the Raiders thing to do, though. They do this every year. I feel like they start really good and then they fade in November and December and miss the playoffs.
Well, they certainly did that last year. So we'll see. Last year was their defense that fell apart. If you remember last year, they also did beat New Orleans at home at the beginning of the season.
Didn't they beat Kansas City as well in Arrowhead?
Yeah, they did. I think they beat No, they almost beat Kansas City twice. I think the second game they barely lost. So
maybe this is something this is what you got to look at, because it looks like after we talked about it, it seems like John Gruden has his teams ready to go against the good teams like the Ravens and the Steelers, and then they kind of have a letdown against the teams that they should beat.
Well, they also haven't been able to beat the teams in their division. That's been a bugaboo for them too for a while now. Have to win games. You have to win your division games too. It's not just playing against other teams.
Brad, this is a must-win game for your Giants. You're at home against the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, it's do or die this week. I think the Giants win this game pretty easily. I think I could see like 38 to 24, 38 to 21, something like that. I think Daniel Jones has his coming out party this weekend. He looked real good against the Washington football team, and I think he's just about ready to take the next step. Now, you have to look at it the way their offensive line's been playing. He's still been good, and he really hasn't. He used his legs last week when he had to. I think Daniel Jones is this close to being a quality quarterback. No turnovers last week. Yeah, I think it's starting to come along for him. We'll see though. Long way to go, but I like what I've seen so far.
Interesting game, and I really like the Patriots here. They're going to take on the Saints in Foxborough. Patriots laying 3 at home. I don't like Jameis matching up with a Bill Belichick defense at all.
What about New England scoring against the Saints, though?
I mean, McDaniels is doing a really good job protecting Mac Jones. At some point, they're going to have to turn him loose. Maybe it'll be this week, but they flash the game when you're at the game. They flash up the score and the stats when you're at the game. And at one point, like Mac Jones was like 7 for 8 for 17 yards. It's like not even possible.
Well, because he's throwing short passes.
They're going to have to let him loose a little bit at some point. And I think that Josh McDaniels knows what he's doing, and I think this might be the week because their running back, Damian Harris, I think he's going to win a lot of people a lot of fantasy games this year because I think he's for real. I think the Patriots have finally committed to a lead back in Damian Harris, and I think the Patriots are going to be a very competitive football team this year. So I like the Patriots.
I would agree.
I like them a lot.
Yeah, I would take the Saints in the 3 points. I think they're going to come back and play a good game.
That's my favorite pick thus far. Patriots -3. You disagree? You like the Saints? And then we see the Packers have
Packers got a touchdown,
tied up the game. That's a bogus passing touchdown for you fantasy players out there. Technically a TD reception for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, it was a shovel pass. It's more like a forward lateral, but that's okay. Whatever.
Ravens are going to Detroit next week. There is a line out for this game, which is surprising. Usually they hold off on that until this game would be over. Obviously, the Lions are playing right now. Lions are +9, getting 9 points at home. It's a lot of points to get at home. See, now this is where, do you think the Ravens are going to build on that momentum, or do you think they're going to be riding high and kind of crash?
No, I think they're going to be building on that momentum because the Raiders like to run the football, and the Lions cannot stop the run. I mean, they play two teams that can run the football in San Francisco, and Green Bay ran the ball right down the field on them for the most part. I mean, that really wasn't Aaron Rodgers. More or less, that was Jones for the most part that was running the ball down the field. I could see the Ravens routing that team. I mean, listen, any team that can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to have a lot of respect for, especially with all the injuries that they've had. And they were able to – they gave up a lot of points, but you know what? In the fourth quarter, when they needed to make a couple of stops against the Chiefs, they did it. And you know what? All the credit in the world to be able to do that, because Pat Mahomes, especially in September, isn't that the first game he's lost?
Ever.
Yeah, I mean,
September, yes.
They're a terrific football team, and the Ravens found a way to win that game. And I wouldn't have thought that the Ravens were going to win that game. I mean, if you asked me, I would have said, "Uh-oh, Ravens are in big trouble." I mean, I picked them to make the playoffs, and now they're going to be 0-2. But that did not happen.
Boy, I mean, the Lions are just gashing the Packers on the ground.
Yeah, they are. They are. And
you run the ball effectively in this league, it opens up a lot. Oh,
it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, running the ball, when you run the ball, especially in the red zone, if you're able to run the ball in the red zone, you're good. You're going to score a lot of points, and you're going to win a lot of games. I mean, most good teams are able to run the ball when they have to in the red zone. And Detroit gets the first down.
Chiefs look to rebound at home. They're 6.5-point favorites over the Chargers. I like the Chiefs here. Mahomes at Arrowhead off a loss. I don't think the Chargers are all that. I know they have some sexy components like Herbert and some flashy names on defense, but I don't know how good they are. I don't know how good their offensive line is. I don't know how effective their running attack is. I don't know. I think
their offensive line yesterday against the Cowboys was abysmal. Although, again, I mean, with all those holding penalties yesterday, and clearly the officials' whistle was blowing against the Chargers yesterday, without a doubt. So you really have to wonder about that. But in any event, the Chargers. After two games right now, I got to kind of agree with you that Denver might be a little bit more advanced, shall we say, than the Chargers. But that Justin Herbert is unbelievable. Boy, I mean, they hit the jackpot with him. It looks like,
I mean, the Jets are going out to Denver.
They're going to
Denver finally gets their home opener. They're 11-point favorites. I have no problem laying the 11.
Yeah, they'll win. They'll win by more than 11. That's going to be a travesty. It's going to be like a 31-3 game.
Game of the day, at least from on any standpoint, including primetime games. I just lost the spread. Hold on. It's the Tom Brady and a possible NFC Championship preview. Tampa Bay, Los Angeles, as in the Rams.
Wow.
The game is in Los Angeles. The Rams are 1-point favorites. I wouldn't touch this game.
No, I wouldn't either. I think the Rams are going to win, though.
Brad, I have questions about Tampa Bay's defense. Because
I think that the Rams are going to win the game.
I think the Rams are better.
Stafford just really, really does make a big difference with that team.
Here's a line that makes no sense to me, Brad. Obviously, it's early, so the line could fluctuate, but Seattle's traveling to Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's that good at all. The Seahawks are only favored by 1 point.
Oh, I love Seattle in that game.
That feels like a trap, does it not?
It's a fishy spread, to say the least. I mean, that should be more than one.
And then getting into primetime games, Sunday night, we got the Packers and the Niners. I'm surprised there's a line out for that game. Packers are 4-point dogs going out west to San Francisco. Pending disaster here on Monday Night Football, I think the Packers take care of the Niners.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then next Monday night, we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. We'll check out the social media for the exact schedule next Monday. We're going to have wall-to-wall coverage. Eagles, Cowboys, Monday Night Football. The line is out. Dallas is a 4-point favorite. A 4-point favorite at home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
I lay the lumber. The Cowboys, to me, really look like a very good football team.
I can't disagree with that, but I can't.
Listen. I hate the Cowboys even more than I hate the Eagles. So, but I got to tell you, I mean, I'm just calling it as it is and trying to be as fair about it as I can. I mean, right now they really look good. They, as I said, they gave Tampa Bay all they could handle on the road, and then they go out to the West Coast and they beat a very good Chargers team. So I just the Eagles. I don't know who's going to show up, but I don't think that they're in the category of the Cowboys yet.
I'll tell you what, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I mean, Nick Sirianni better taking that goofy highlighter that he wears on the side of his head out and drawing up some better plays this week because you're going to have to score points to beat Dallas.
Yeah,
you're going to have to score points.
And they just might. But I'll tell you what, their defense looks a lot better this year than it did last year.
I mean, it couldn't be worse.
I know, but it looks leaps and bounds better this year than it did last year. Obviously, having Prescott back in the field, their offense is going to be on the field a lot more, so that's going to protect their defense. Obviously, because there won't be as many series, and they won't get as tired playing too many snaps. But their defense did look a lot better. That fellow that they drafted when they made the trade with the Eagles, who's the linebacker they picked up in the first round? I can't remember his name now. For the Cowboys, do you remember the guy's name? He played very well yesterday.
For what?
The Cowboys. No, the first Dallas's first round when they traded picks.
Oh, Parsons, number 11, the linebacker.
Yeah, Micah Parsons to me looked real good yesterday. I mean, he was very elusive. He has a lot of speed. That guy looks like a good player. I mean, it looks like he's going to really improve their defense.
All right, that's early leans. Let's talk some baseball, Brad. American League MVP. The race is heating up. It's been kind of a foregone conclusion that Shohei Ohtani was going to win it. The odds makers on DraftKings, I have DraftKings up right now. Shohei Ohtani, let me bring it up here.
He's probably still a strong favorite, I would think.
He is a minus 2,500 favorite to win the award.
So he's still very heavily favored.
I don't understand because I'm voting for Vladimir Guerrero slightly over Salvador Perez. And can we just talk about Salvador Perez for a second, who's getting no love because the Kansas City Royals stinks and they're in the Midwest and they're in a small market. He broke Johnny Bench's record today for most home runs by a catcher in a season with his 46. Johnny Bench had 45. Salvador Perez etched his stone, the greatest offensive power season for a catcher in Major League Baseball history. 46 home runs for a catcher. How is he not even listed on DraftKings as a possible MVP candidate? He's not even listed. I can't even bet on if I wanted to.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna give him the MVP though.
I can bet on Randy Arozarena. I can bet on Garrett Cole and Matt Olson, but I can't bet on Salvador Perez, which is a travesty. He's having one of the greatest seasons a catcher's ever had in the history of Major League Baseball.
46 home runs, 115 RBIs, 275 batting average, and this is for a catcher. He's also scored 81 runs as well. I mean, that's remarkable. Last year he had 333. This guy is a remarkable player.
Not to mention he plays a great catcher.
Yeah. Well, listen, the greatest offensive catcher I ever saw, obviously, was Mike Piazza, and I don't think we can argue about that. But defensively, Mike Piazza can't shine Salvador Perez's shoes defensively. I mean, it's not even close to a comparison there. So you got to give it to this guy. I mean, he had a very serious injury in 2019. Yet he's come back from that injury, and had obviously last year he only played 37 games, but this year 148 games he's played. He's had 614 plate appearances. I mean, he's just having an incredible season.
How many games has he played?
148.
148?
148.
That's ridiculous.
I know we're not allowed to do notes, but I wanted to look this up because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to give incorrect information.
That's the American League MVP.
Yeah, well, he may have DH'd some of those games too. I mean, I don't know how many games he played.
It doesn't matter because JT Realmuto is banged up every day, and he's not as old as Salvador Perez. So for Salvador Perez to be doing this in this era, playing 148 games, what'd you say? 275 average, 46 home runs, 81 runs scored, 115 runs batting in. I don't care if the Kansas City Royals are in last place. That's the American League MVP.
As a catcher. And
Salvador Perez is the American League MVP. Second, I would put Vlad because if Vlad has a big push here with runs batted in, he could very well win the Triple Crown. And that's ridiculous for whatever he is, 23.
Vlad has had an unbelievable season.
But he's a DH.
Vlad?
Aren't his
face sometimes.
Am I wrong, or a majority of his games as a designated hitter?
He does play DH a lot, but he plays first base too. I mean, they put him at first base to keep him off his feet. So because
if you go back to 2007, Brad, and Salvador Perez is never going to win it because the media is a bunch of jabronis and they won't vote for a catcher or a Royal or a guy not from a big market or a team in last place, even though Salvador Perez is having a historic season. Wayne Miller trade JT and move and more for Perez in our ballpark. Come on, look, JT Realmuto is
old,
the Phillies.
I mean, he's old. I mean, that's at number one. Kansas City would never trade him.
Kansas City can't take on that money. They're just not.
And they'll never trade Salvador Perez. He's the face of the franchise. He's a legend. He'll retire as a Royal. I mean, they'll pay whatever it costs to keep him. I mean, he's basically in Kansas City. He's talked about it in the same breath as George Brett. So that's not going to happen.
And it doesn't matter. That far from fixes the Phillies' problems, and they have a lot of problems. The main problem tonight being they're down 2-0 to the goddamn Orioles, who stink.
Oh, don't get me started with the Orioles.
So, I mean, I don't see how you can't give this American League MVP award. A guy I can't even vote on my DraftKings app, the American League MVP, Salvador Perez. You read his stats. They're incredible. I bet you he's probably playing – I don't know who's in the mix for the Gold Glove at catcher in the American League, but Salvador Perez has won that award before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he has.
And he's probably going to do it again.
Yeah, and he's still got a gun. He's still got a gun behind him.
And defense matters. Defense matters, Brad, because if you looked at purely offensive stats, Jimmy Rollins.
No catchers really. No catchers are huge offensive. There's very few. There are a few guys that can either pop some home runs or have a good batting average and be effective offensive players. Very few of them are.
And then you have National League MVP, Bryce Harper, a slim favorite over Fernando Tatis. I would give it to Harper.
Well,
this is a light year in the National League for MVP candidates.
Tatis has better numbers than Harper. That's
not in all. Dude, Bryce Harper's been playing with football. The only reason every morning I look at the standings and I try and figure out why the Phillies are still in playoff contention, why they're only 2 games out. It's because of Bryce Harper. And the second half that Fernando Tatis and these Padres are having, I mean, the Padres have absolutely collapsed.
Yeah, but he hasn't. I mean, I think 39 home runs, 90 some odd RBIs.
He has very front-loaded stats. And traditionally, the voters have overemphasized numbers in August and September. And since August, no one's been better in baseball than Bryce Harper. I mean, period. I mean, I'll bring up his stats over the past month because I think that's.
I'm looking at the whole season.
Well, guess what? I mean, for him he's got over 300 average. I'm bringing up his stats.
Okay.
He should be. I mean, if they give it to Tatis, fine, because it is a light year for the National League.
National League, it's not all that great, but let me see.
I mean, Bryce Harper, he's been unbelievable. Every morning, every day, I go into work and I talk to my friends about how much the Phillies stink and how it's amazing that they're only two games back, 2.5 games back, respectively, in the wild card. And it's only because of Bryce Harper. Everybody stinks. Look at this lineup. McCutchen stinks. Herrera stinks. Gregorius is awful. They have no one at third base. Segura is kind of good, and Rhys Hoskins is out for the season. JT Realmuto's been a giant disappointment in the first year of his huge, massive $125 million contract. It's only Bryce Harper.
Okay, here are the stats for Fernando Tatis. Okay, he's got 432 at-bats because he's missed a lot of time. 285 average, 39 homers, 92 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, OPS 988. That's, I mean, that I'm reading that off as that those are his present stats.
All right, you're not gonna hold on. You're gonna have to repeat some of them.
Okay, in 432 at bats, 285 average, 39 homers.
What was his average?
285.
Okay, Bryce Harper's at 313.
Okay, 39 homers.
Bryce Harper only has 33.
Okay, 92 RBIs.
Bryce Harper only has 80. But remember, he had like 40 2 months ago. So he's been on a torrid pace.
He's been doing better with the RBIs. 25 stolen bases.
Okay, Bryce has 13. But that 13 stolen bases in today's age for a player like Bryce, that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean, but this guy is 25. That's a lot. Okay, and 988 OPS. I think Harper's over 1,000, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I got to do math real quick to figure out. It is over 1,000 for Bryce. 428 on base, 624 slugging.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
What's his Bonds like? 93 runs scored. 428 on base percentage.
All right, let me see. Let me get some more. Let me get a little more details here. Tatis has 94 runs scored.
Bryce is at 90. It's a wash.
So that's pretty close. I'm looking to see what.
And Bryce missed time too. Don't forget in the middle here. So
right. So
it's kind of even in terms of time missed.
Right. On base percentage, not as good. On base percentage is only 368 because he hasn't walked that much. Let's see.
So I'm giving my vote goes to Bryce Harper in a weak MVP field.
Yeah,
especially if the Phillies find a way to make the playoffs.
There is one other guy I want to check, and that's.
I wonder if that's ever happened before. 2 guys win the MVP. Well, Salvador Perez is not going to win the MVP. 2 guys win the MVP that didn't make the playoffs. Be interesting. But Brad, I mean, your Yankees, they appear to be done.
They're in trouble. They're in trouble. I mean, I don't see them. I don't see them making the playoffs. If they were in the National League, maybe, but in the American League and in the American League East, it's unforgiving if you don't play good baseball. you're not going to win. Tonight they have a 4-2 lead on Texas, but I mean they just lost 2 out of 3 to the lousy Indians. They were 5-5 in a 10-game stretch where they played 6 times against Baltimore, once against Minnesota, and 3 against the Indians. That's just not good enough. That will not get it done. Here's another contender for MVP. Joey Votto on the Cincinnati Reds. 31 homers, 89 RBIs. Let's see, 260. Yeah, his average isn't good enough. 267 is not going to get it done. He's had a good year, though. 373 slugging percent on base, 550 slugging percentage. He's had a good year this year, Joey Votto, but not quite as good as Tatis or Harper. I mean, I think the Phillies have to win the division in order for him to be the MVP. I don't think he can win the MVP without them winning the division.
So, I mean, the wild card in the American – I mean, we talked about – I mean, pretty locked in division winners in the American League. Chicago, they've got to be on the verge of clinching. 11.5 up on the Indians. Should be any day now, really.
Yeah, you would think so.
Tampa Bay, they're 6.5 games up on Boston, 7.5 up on Toronto, 9 up on the Yankees. So
yeah,
that's pretty safe.
It's not impossible for the Yankees. The Yankees are only a game and a half out of the playoffs at this point. So I mean, they're still in it, but just based on the way
you get the Yankees, they had juice after the Yankees. They have no juice.
No, they have
Toronto has juice.
The problem with the Yankees is they had one crippling injury that's come back to really bite them in the ass, and that's Jonathan Loáisiga. That injury has just completely destroyed them. Their bullpen has been terrible. It's cooked. Aaron Boone is making mistake after mistake. And
is he going to keep his job if you guys don't make the playoffs?
If it was up to me, he would have been gone 3 years ago. You know how much I think he's horrible. I think he's one of the worst managers in baseball. But he's still there because Hal Steinbrenner has no balls and doesn't want to make any changes. So that's kind of where it's at. Aaron Boone does not know how to use his bullpen. He's always making the wrong decisions. He brings in guys that he shouldn't be bringing in. And quite frankly, at this point, he's cooked the bullpen. He's overused it. Chad Green, in particular, he went to him way too many times this year. Chad Green, every time he comes in, has to give up an obligatory home run. I mean, it's just not going to work. I think Cashman could be in some trouble if they don't make the playoffs. But I think if they don't make the playoffs, they have to fire Boone. $200 million payroll, and you can't make the playoffs. I don't care if the other teams are winning 90 games. You still have to find a way to make the playoffs.
I mean, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. I would not want to play the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League playoffs if I'm one of these division winners. I would not want to do it. Robbie Ray's been awesome.
Robbie Ray's going to win the Cy Young.
You're probably right about that.
He's going to win the Cy Young. I mean, I don't think there's any.
Steven Matz is pitching well.
They just lost Ryu, though.
I mean, that'll be tough. But, I mean, Brad, they hit the shit out of the baseball.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that team.
You have Simeon with 40 home runs. You have Vlad with 46 home runs. If they can get Springer healthy at the top of that order.
Hernandez is hitting the heck out of the ball. If they could get Springer healthy and stay in the lineup every day, I mean that team is really tough to deal with.
I mean, Bichette. I mean, Kevin Biggio has been disappointing this season, but I think there's talent there.
Yeah, no, they are. They're loaded. That's a really dangerous offensive team.
And it looks like Boston's going to be in the playoffs as well. I don't know if Oakland or Seattle have enough to jump the Yankees and another. I don't think Oakland and Seattle are good enough baseball teams to leapfrog the AL East teams, which is Boston.
The problem is that Oakland and Seattle don't get to play those teams. So,
well, I mean, they've had their chances, and they either didn't win or they didn't do well enough against the other teams in their division.
Yeah, well, they also again they don't get to play the Yankees, they don't get to play Boston, they don't get to play Toronto. So I mean they're behind them, so they have to count on they have to get a lot of help. The one thing the Yankees do have, if they can not lose any ground, is that they play these teams. They play Toronto 3 games, they play Boston 3 games, so they have a chance. They do have a chance to control their destiny, but they're going to have to win those 2 series. And they've got to sweep Texas. I mean, if they lose tonight, I mean, it would just about be over. I mean, then they'd be in a position where, 2 games out at this point would be very difficult.
And the Phillies are 3.5 games out of the wild card, not 2.5. Like I said before, they are.
Yeah, but they're 2.5 behind Atlanta, aren't they?
2.5 behind Atlanta, 3.5 out in the week. Let me make sure because they lost last night.
They're further behind. They're further behind in the wild card than they are in the division. I think they're only 2 games.
Wow! Did you see that touchdown by T.J. Hawkinson?
No, I actually have the Yankee game on right now.
Unbelievable.
The
highlight reel catch.
The aforementioned Chad Green just came in the game and throws a wild pitch. So now the Rangers, who were down 2, have a runner on third with 1 out. A curveball that's about 75 feet outside Sanchez. I can't even blame Sanchez for that one.
Yeah, they are 2 back of Atlanta, 3.5 back of the St. Louis Cardinals,
who've been red hot.
Red hot. They have the star power with Arenado and
they also have 2
Goldschmidt.
And we have to mention Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright has been unbelievable this year.
A resurgence, complete resurgence.
Yeah. I mean, he got off to a very good start. You would have thought that he might fade in August and September, but he's even been better since. I mean, the guy at his age, at the age of 39, he's just been a mainstay. And there's going to be a sacrifice fly for the Texas Rangers, and it's now going to be Yankees 4, Rangers 3 in the 5th inning. So the Yankees once again playing a close game against a bad team, and these close games against the bad teams, they've been biting them in the ass all season. So we'll see what happens.
And I mean, I think the Phillies, if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win the division because you got to jump.
I would agree, and they get to play. They do get to play. I mean, they have 2 games against Baltimore. Then the big series against Atlanta, right?
Now, Brad, if I told you 3 months ago that on September 20th, the Phillies and the Padres would have the same record, you would probably think
I would have been laughing hysterically.
Well, that's the case. They are both 76 and 73. And, Brad, I think the Padres are done. What happened to the Padres?
They've had a lot of injuries, especially to their pitching staff. But they've been bad since the beginning of August. I mean, it's amazing. They've lost so many games just because of their bullpen. Really, I think it started in Oakland with their bullpen blowing a couple of games in Oakland. But their bullpen's been terrible. They've really not been able to make up for Blake Snell pitching so poorly. I mean, that's been a disaster. I mean, things are so desperate with them. Didn't they just sign Vince Velasquez?
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows you.
He pitched yesterday. He pitched yesterday for him quite poorly.
Yeah, that just shows the desperation that San Diego currently is.
They have both Jake Arrieta and Vince Velasquez on their baseball team.
Yeah,
in their starting 5 rotation.
Yeah, they've had a lot of injuries to their starting rotation, and their bullpen hasn't been very good either. So they're in. I mean, they have the 2 superstars, Machado and Tatis, in their batting lineup. So they've got a couple of big time hitters, but you got to have pitching. And right now, San Diego is sorely lacking in that particular area.
I just can't. Like, we were talking about Tatis and Machado, and we were talking World Series the whole season, and we got a team that's just collapsing.
Yeah, they've
really.
underachieved big time. I mean, the Phillies have underachieved too. They should have been better than 3 games over 500 this year, I think, with the talent they have.
But where's their talent?
Well, listen, Hoskins is a good ball player.
I'll give you that, but he's out, so let's forget about him.
But JT should have had a better year.
He's been average at best, both offensively and defensively.
Nola has been pitching like a number 4 pitcher this year.
Aaron Nola, I'm over Aaron Nola.
Yeah,
I hope he gets it together these last 2 weeks so the Phillies can be in the wild card or win the East, but I'm so over Aaron Nola.
Zach Wheeler was pitching.
Zach Wheeler's tremendous.
Close to Cy. Yeah, he was very close to the Cy Young Award race. He's now a little bit behind, but he's still been a legitimate ace. I mean, the Phillies have some talent, and I think in the National League,
Brad, the only talent they have is.
I mean, if you took a look at all the injuries the Braves have had, the Phillies should have won this division. I mean, it shouldn't be like this. I mean, the Braves lost Acuna. They haven't had Soroka all season. They should not be in first place.
But, I mean, just look at the player development because they go down on the farm and they can bring guys up and they can play.
I realize that they've got some good young players on their team, and that's why they're able to do this. But still, when you lose a guy like Acuna, that's tough. That's tough. By the way, Freddie Freeman still hasn't signed yet, which is very interesting. Got to start wondering about that. Is Freddie Freeman going to leave?
I mean, you can't. If you're the Braves, you can't let Freddie Freeman out the door.
Well, I mean, if they don't sign him by the end of the season,
well, there's no point in signing him now until the offseason. Because if you sign him now and he gets hurt, then you look like the Phillies looked after they signed Ryan Howard.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point,
you just wait.
If you end the season and he's still not signed,
there's no upside. There's no upside. Freddie Freeman, he's already proven that he should probably be the highest paid first baseman in Major League Baseball. He can't do the only thing he can do is hurt his value by getting injured. So why would the Braves sign him now? You just wait.
If they wait till the end of the season, he's going to get higher offers, and unless he decides to take a hometown discount, which I don't think he's going to do, he's going to be gone.
I mean, I hear you. I would be extremely shocked.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not understanding why the Braves haven't signed him. I mean, they if they can't afford him, he's going to end up. I mean, he could end up with the Yankees. Imagine that left-handed bat in Yankee Stadium. I mean, that's almost a guarantee.
What are you guys going to do with Rizzo?
Huh? Rizzo's a free agent.
So you're not interested in re-signing him?
I think he's going to want too much money for how good he is. I mean,
I'll tell you what. I know the Philadelphia Phillies need. First off, the Philadelphia Phillies desperately need them to bring the DH to the National League, so you can put Rhys Hoskins at DH and go spend some money on a first baseman that can absolutely bash. Anthony Rizzo would be a great fit. He's a great clubhouse guy. He's a great defender, and he's great with the stick.
I like Rizzo. The Yankees might. I don't know what the Yankees are going to do at first base. I mean, they also still have Luke Voit, and when Luke Voigt's played, he's been very good. But I don't know what they're going. I don't know what they're going to do. If I'm the Yankees and Freddie Freeman is a free agent, I let everybody go and I go get Freddie Freeman, because you can stick him in the middle of the order. You can put him right between Judge and Stanton. You have and Gallo, and you have two power hitting right-handed bats, 2 power hitting left-hand bats, and you'd be set. And then you can just bring up. You let Volpe come up and play shortstop next year, and you put Urshela at third, and I guess I mean, you can put DJ LeMahieu at third, and you can put leave Glaber at second base for 1 year.
Another guy at the top of my wish list in terms of Philadelphia Phillies. I want Corey Seager to play shortstop for me for the next 10 years.
That could happen.
That guy's awesome. Didi Gregorius.
How much money can the Dodgers possibly spend?
They can't. They brought in Turner. I think they make the trade for Turner because they're going to let Seager walk. They can't sign everybody, can they?
I mean, between you and me, we've been saying it that to them it's salary cap be damned. I mean,
yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, but you have to think at some point there has to be some kind of I mean, listen. Here's the other thing that you have to remember. They're negotiating a new deal. What's the payroll? What's the new payroll is going to be? You know, what's the luxury tax going to be after this season?
Yeah, another guy I wouldn't mind having on my team. I know he's an older player. Is Justin Turner, third baseman for the Dodgers.
Yeah, even if it was just for 2 years, he'd be.
Like, I don't know. You got to think that cutbacks are coming at some point. I mean, can you have this payroll and pay this luxury tax?
Are they going to have a $300 million payroll?
I mean, if they do, God bless them, and God bless their owner for giving their fans not skimping like Mr. Stupid Money John Middleton likes to do here in Philadelphia,
or Cheap Hal in the Bronx.
But they don't just spend money; like they spend money wisely on terrific players.
Well, I think you got to wonder what has happened to Clay Bellinger.
Well, he's got a broken rib now. He's just been injured. I mean, he's MVP in 2019. He's got a broken rib. He's got a broken rib now. He's playing through it. I don't know. He's like the 8 hitter though.
Well, and I think he's hitting 160 this year.
But I mean, he has the talent to get hot at any time, and he hits 8th for the Dodgers.
Well, I know. I know. Talk about ridiculous. A guy like him. I don't know what's happened to him, but he's having a horrible year. I mean, I think they have Muncy playing. They have Muncy playing first base now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Playing first, and because I think Lux plays second now for them. I mean,
I don't even know what they do out there because they have Turner. They had him at second. They have Seager. They have Bellinger. I don't know what they do. Do they have a game tonight? This will be the last thing we do before Flight Zone's coming up next. Thank you to everyone who likes, subscribed, shared, commented on the show. Thank you to our great sponsors, Alan Foy, eXp Realty, Johnny Coyle, down at All Campus on the Ocean City Boardwalk, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, Robbie Lutman over there at the Sunrise Detox Center. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. Frank will post the number right now on the screen. Did I miss any? Body Check Wellness, huge shout out, 25% off. Bodycheckwellness.com, 25% off. A2D Radio is your promo code there. And don't forget, become an A2D member. $9.99, special shout outs, picks from the Money Pop podcast, exclusive club. Again, thank you to everyone. Flight Zone coming up next. I'm going to see if the Dodgers have a game tonight. I don't think they do. Yeah, I think they're off today. So thank you, everyone. Until next Monday, Eagles, Cowboys, big Monday next week. Eagles, Cowboys, live reactions, pregame, postgame, everything right here, A2D Radio. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Peace out, everybody.